Hi everyone, I'm Literary Freak 11, and today I'm going to be doing my TBR for the Medieval-A-Thon, which is actually not until July and runs the entire month of July, hosted by Holly Hart's Books. And normally I would wait another week to do this TBR, but I'm just so excited that I'm going to give it to you now. So the way this read-a-thon works is there are ranks that you can get to, one based on how many books you read. So 1 book, you're a peasant. 6 books, you're a king queen, which is the highest status. The next one down is 5 books, which is a prince or princess. And so, like, for me, 6 books is actually a fairly small amount to read, so I'm not really going to be focusing on that aspect. I'll probably end up with the king or queen rank, especially with audiobooks, although none of the books for this TBR are in fact audiobooks. So I'm going to try to physically read 10 books because there are 10 prompts. So without further ado, I tried to rank these based on the most important to the least. So you have 2 sets of prompts. The first are your garb, basically like a knight's armor and a crown and a red robe, and I'm putting the graphic up so that you can see it. And then the next set is the weapons. So I've kind of mixed the weapons in, but mostly I'm gonna suit up first. I feel like I'm gonna rank what I want to get most important, but it's also based on when books are due back from the library. So, take that with a grain of salt. For the first prompt, I picked the breastplate, and that is a book with a shiny cover, and literally any library book works that has a plastic jacket. So I picked Serious Moonlight, which is about a girl who is trying to solve this mystery, and she also meets this boy named Daniel who is very mysterious himself, and so they try to solve this mystery together, and it just seems like a cute contemporary. The next thing that I'm going to go for is the thigh guard, so that is to pick a thick paperback, and so what I picked was The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, and this is kind of like a thriller-esque book. Basically, she wakes up with no memory of the last couple of days, and there's this mysterious boy who knows more about the last couple of days than she does, and this is actually a trilogy, and so thick is relative, as Holly says. So even though this is not a big book, according to what booktubers think, like 500 pages, it is 450 pages, which is slightly intimidating to me. So the next book that I have, I'm going to get one of my weapons early so that I have that, and that is to pick pick a book with something sharp on the cover. And so I have picked the Polar Bear Explorers Club, and this is about a middle grade this is a middle grade about this girl who goes with her father on an expedition when girls are not really known to do that kind of thing, and so she ends up lost with 3 other explorers in training, and they have to explore and figure out how to The next prompt is to pick a book with something sharp on the cover. So I've picked the Polar Bear Explorers Club because glaciers are sharp, and ice can be sharp, and so I picked this, and it's about this girl who goes with her father on an expedition, and women are very rare in this field, and she ends up getting lost with 3 other explorers, and they have to see what they can explore and find their way back. This is a middle grade fantasy because there's a pet unicorn in it, so we'll see what they find. The next thing that I'm going to go with is The Crown, and for The Crown you pick a book where there's a fight for the throne, and that is Library of Fates. And so this is about a princess who has to flee her kingdom and her fight back into the throne, which is a very, very basic summary, but that's all I know, and we'll see how it goes. Next, in order to get the boots for this suit of armor, you need a book that has yellowed, and so I picked I Am a Cat, which is also a library book, but as you see, compared to a new book, it's yellowed quite a bit. And so this is actually published in 1907, although this is specifically not from 1907 and follows a cat who kind of studies humanity, and so it's interesting to have that different culture and to have that different perspective from that different culture as well. The next prompt in order to get the helmet is a book with a dragon on the cover, and I actually only have one book with a dragon on the cover, and it is Seraphina, and I know nothing about this, but all I know is people absolutely love it, and so I'm excited to pick it up. The next book that I have is to get the red cape, you need a book with red on the dust jacket, and so I picked Enchante, and this is a fantasy about this girl who's been using magic in order to create fake money when their family goes broke, and this is set in the French Revolution, and so when the money that she fakes dissolves, they take her brother, and so she has to infiltrate the court of Versailles pretending to be a duchess or a baroness or something like that in order to get her back, and this sounds so good. So now we're going to move on to the rest of the weapons. And these are kind of like backups, like, okay, if I finish all of these, I'll get to the rest. But as long as I have one weapon, I should be fine, right? I mean, I guess proficiency in multiple weapons would probably be better, but this is pushing it, so we will see. The next book that I have, that I will definitely get to, is you need a book with a mercenary, and so I have picked Turncoat, which is the 11th in the Dresden Files series. I will definitely be finishing number 10 this month, and so that book, I actually searched a lot of summaries for certain keywords, and mercenary was in there, and so I went, okay, fine, that's going to be the book. The next book is, and that is in order to get your axe, I believe. But, like, I'll be honest, women kind of have trouble wielding axes. I don't think I'll be so good at it, so maybe I don't need to earn my axe. The next book, the next prompt in order to get my bow and arrow, I need a book with elves, and this makes sense because elves tend to be proficient with bow and arrow. So I have picked the Land of Stories. There are a lot of magical creatures in this book, but I did look at the wiki, and apparently elves are one of them. And so this is a book where fairy tales come to life. I believe it is a middle grade. This is also a TBR veteran for me. And the last book that I have is a book with an assassin, and I have two options. I have Mistborns. It does say that they assassinate people, although I don't think that makes them assassins, so I don't really think that I can pick this. You know, maybe if I'm feeling it and there's like a hard technicality, I'm like, okay, fine, technically. However, and I had a feeling that this was gonna happen to me. This monstrosity has assassins. There are 4 kingdoms in this book, and each kind of has their own specialty. And one of the kingdoms, their specialty is assassins. And so yeah, I think this is going to have to be my book if I want my dual blades, essentially. So that is all for, but it is a monstrosity, and so this is like my absolutely last. I have finished everything else on my TBR. I will pick some audiobooks probably for the month as well, but like I've been feeling so like impatient with audiobooks. Like I just have not been able to listen to audiobooks recently. So I'm not going to put any audiobooks on my TBR because I have a feeling that they just won't get listened to. But yeah, so that's my TBR. If you're participating, let me know what you're going to be doing as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.